Hello and welcome back. Today I'm excited to share with you 3 quick, easy and healthy snack recipes that are all made from tofu. We'll be making tofu crackers, cheesy tofu chips with a red pepper ketchup and a shredded tofu salad. All these recipes are incredibly delicious, so be sure to watch all 3 so you don't miss out. So grab yourself an apron and let's get cooking.
To start, we'll be making the cheesy tofu chips with red pepper ketchup. And I just wanted to mention we'll be using the same tofu for all the recipes. It's an extra firm tofu. It usually comes in a vat pack rather than water, and it's really firm and nice and chewy. Preheat your oven to 200 degrees, or you could use an air fryer, or even just a frying pan, that works great too. Start by patting your tofu dry, and then we're going to cut it into 4 one way, and then 4 the other way to create beautiful chunky chips. They should be slightly larger than 1 centimeter wide, but you can always make them thinner or thicker depending on your preference. I like to then lay them out on kitchen roll or a tea towel and get them nice and dry. Next we'll create the dry rub, which is going to turn this tofu into cheesy tofu chips. Start off with some corn flour, then some nutritional yeast for that cheesy nutty flavour. A few spices, I've got smoked paprika, turmeric and mustard powder. This is English mustard powder, so if you don't have that you can just use normal mustard or Dijon mustard. I'm not sure about American mustard because I've never tried it, so that's up to you. Next ingredient is somewhat optional. It's breadcrumbs. It adds a really nice crunch to the chips, but if you want to keep it gluten-free, then feel free not to add it. Then of course some salt and pepper. Then just mix up your cheesy dry rub. I'm using my hand, but you can use a spoon. I think it's just a chefy thing, using your hands for everything. We'll then coat the tofu chips in some olive oil or any oil that you have. Then throw in the cheesy rub and we're going to give it a good mix around to coat all the chips. It should coat fairly well as we've got the oil on there, but you can also get in there with your hands and sort of press the rub into the chips. If you didn't want to use oil here, you could use some plant-based milk and that will help the crumbs stick to the chips. Once they're all nicely coated, we're going to lay them out on a baking tray, leaving a little gap between each one so they can get nice and crispy. I usually drizzle a little bit of olive oil over the top here just to get them extra crispy, but that's completely optional. We'll then bake them for around 15 to 20 minutes at 200 degrees, and at around 10 minutes I turn them around just so they get crispy all over. If you wanted to air fry them, I'd probably do them at 180 degrees for around 10 to 15 minutes, or if you wanted to fry them in a pan, I'd probably do them for the same time, but turn them every 5 minutes. So you'll end up with these beautiful crunchy cheesy tofu chips, but you need something to dip them in, so let's make this quick red pepper ketchup. For this recipe you're going to need 1 roast pepper. You're welcome to use some jarred roast peppers, but I'm going to quickly roast one in the oven. You could of course roast the pepper in the oven while the cheesy tofu chips are in there. Simply deseed your pepper, get it on a tray with some olive oil, salt and pepper, and then we're going to roast it for around 20-25 minutes at 200 degrees. If you wanted to do this a bit quicker, you could use the grill in the oven and that's going to speed up the process a bit. That's the only cooking you have to do for this red pepper ketchup. Into a blender, we're going to put the roasted red peppers, some chopped tomatoes from a can, you're welcome to use fresh if you have some, a splash of red wine vinegar for that tangy flavour you get with ketchup, a pinch of smoked paprika, another small pinch of garlic powder. Sadly some air has got into my packet so mine's turned into these little bricks, but I'm sure the blender will deal with that. 1 medjool date, that's going to add a nice sweetness to the ketchup. Of course you could just use some sugar or maple syrup, but it's nice to use a natural sweetener. And finally a little salt and pepper. Blend it up and you're going to have a beautiful tangy and sweet red pepper ketchup for you to dip your cheesy tofu chips in. This is a great high protein snack to have any time of the day or have it with a bit of salad for your lunch.
Let's try these cheesy tofu chips and I'm excited to get them into this red pepper ketchup right here. They are so good. You've got the cheesiness from the nutritional yeast, a slight smokiness from the smoked paprika, and then from the mustard powder you've got a little bit of heat coming through them, and of course you've got the tangy and sweetness from the red pepper ketchup. So that is a snack I'm definitely going to be making again in the future. They're not quite as crispy now as I did leave them to go cold. That's the reality of filming, but I did try them straight out the oven and they were beautifully crispy. So yeah, definitely give these ones a go.
This next recipe is one of my favourites. It's these wholemeal tofu crackers, and they're perfectly delicious on their own or with a dip like vegan cream cheese or guacamole. We'll start by shredding the tofu with a fork, or you can use your hands to crumble it up into a nice fine mixture. Then we're going to add all the other ingredients, starting with some wholemeal flour. You're welcome to use plain flour if you don't have any wholemeal. Next, some corn flour. This helps the crackers get extra crunchy. Some baking powder, ground flax seeds, some olive oil or any oil of your choice, a touch of maple syrup or any other sweetener like agave or honey. You're welcome to leave this out if you don't want any sugar in your crackers. Ground coriander, some sesame seeds. I've got a mixture of black and white here, but you can use any kind you like, and a sprinkle of salt and pepper. We're then going to mix it up until it's mostly combined and then add a little water to bring it all together. If your dough seems a little bit dry, you can add some extra olive oil or water. I decided to add an extra tablespoon of olive oil. So you'll end up with a nice soft pliable dough that shouldn't be too sticky but also not bone dry. Lay out one piece of baking paper the size of your baking tray. We'll then put another piece of baking paper on top and we're going to roll out the dough nice and thin, ready to be baked. The thinner you roll out your dough, the crispier the crackers will be. So if you want to, you could do this over 2 baking trays to get it extra thin. I rolled mine out to about 4mm thin, but you could go down to about 2mm for an extra crispy cracker. Once you've rolled out the dough, we're going to use a pizza cutter to cut out nice little cracker shapes, or you could use a knife if you don't have a pizza cutter. I like to brush a little bit of extra olive oil over the top so they get extra crispy. Then simply slide the dough onto a baking tray and we're going to put it in the oven at 200 degrees for around 15 to 20 minutes. If you've rolled the dough out slightly thinner, you might want to check at around 10 minutes as you want it to be a nice golden colour. I also found that the edge ones cooked a bit quicker, so I had to do a bit of rearranging at around the 10-15 minute mark. They won't be crispy straight out of the oven, but if you leave them to cool on a baking rack, they'll get super crispy. So they are good to go, crunchy wholemeal crackers with an extra protein kick from the tofu, ready to go with your favourite dip.
Okay, let's give these crackers a taste. I've let them cool down so they're nice and crunchy now. We're going to try them with this vegan cream cheese that I've got. So let's give this a go. Oh, it's so good. I'm hoping my camera is picking up the crunchiness of these because they are super crunchy and you just wouldn't believe that they have tofu in them. I could definitely snack on these all day long and they're healthy, so why not? The great thing about these crackers is they're super versatile and you can switch up the flavors however you like. So I've got sesame seeds and ground coriander in these ones, but you could do curried ones, you could do rosemary and garlic, you could just do black pepper and sea salt, so lots of options and they're super tasty, high in protein from the tofu, and yeah, a pretty great snack right there.
This next recipe is probably the healthiest of the three. It's an Asian-inspired shredded tofu salad. And it's going to start with some vegetable prep. You can be fairly flexible with the vegetables in a salad, but I'm going to start by dicing a little bit of cucumber. Then I'm going to slice a couple of spring onions. I believe they're called scallions in America, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm always seeing people discarding way too much of the spring onion. You only need to take off this little end bit and the rest of it is all good, the white bit and the dark green bit. Remember to keep your chopping board nice and clean so you're not slipping up on any leftover bits of the previous vegetable that you've prepared. We'll then do some grated carrot. I'm going to do it on an angle to get these nice long strips. Just make sure you don't accidentally grate yourself, as I've definitely done that before and it's not fun. Some finely chopped coriander, or cilantro for Americans. So that's all the vegetable prep done, ready for the salad. Preparing the tofu is really easy. We're simply going to grate it on a box grater. This is where having an extra firm tofu is really essential. By grating the tofu, we get nice long strands and they'll go really crispy when we fry them, and they'll also absorb all the flavour of the dressing. To cook the tofu, we're going to heat up a frying pan over a medium-high heat. I'm going to use a nice toasted sesame oil here, which gives the tofu a lovely nutty flavour. To check the pan is hot enough, I like to hover my hand over it and make sure I can feel a good amount of heat coming off it. Or you can just throw in a little bit of tofu, and if it starts to sizzle, then you're ready to cook. We'll fry the tofu for around 3 to 5 minutes until it's golden brown and crispy all over. Then I'm going to add some sesame seeds. I've got some black ones here, but you can use white ones if that's what you have. And then just before taking it off the heat, we're going to drizzle over some light soy sauce, and that's going to add a lovely sticky glaze to the tofu. So there we have it, we've got the lovely crispy golden tofu ready to go in this Asian inspired salad. Into a bowl, throw in all your salad ingredients and the crispy tofu. We'll then just add a few extra ingredients to really jazz up this Asian salad, starting with some lime zest. Once again, I'm using one of my favourite bits of kit, and that is a microplane zester. Before cleaning it, we're going to add a bit of zested ginger to add a nice fiery kick to the salad. Then the juice of the lime that we zested, and now it's ready to be mixed up and tasted. This is a perfect, fresh, healthy snack that's great to have in spring or summer, and I'm also going to top it with a few extra roasted black sesame seeds. And now to try the last snack of the day, we've got the grated Asian style salad, which is probably one of the healthiest of the three snacks, and it's looking rather delicious. It's super fresh, perfect for summer at the moment. You can easily switch up the vegetables for whatever you have in the fridge, so if you've got some red peppers maybe, or some kale, that would be great in here. Literally any vegetable just shredded up and thrown in here, it would be absolutely delicious. The ginger gives it a nice kick, you've got the freshness from the lime, you've got the nice toasted sesame flavour running through it. To make this even quicker, you don't even really need to fry the tofu. You could just grate it and then marinate it in the soy sauce, the sesame and the lime juice, and that would still be really nice. And although I like to enjoy it as a snack, you could also just have it for lunch or even a simple dinner. It's super easy. Literally takes like 5-10 minutes at most to make it. So be sure to give this one a go. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please do let me know which snack you're going to try in the comment section, and also share the video with your friends and family who are looking to eat more plant-based food.
and I'll see you in a video very soon. Bye bye.